Hello everyone. The title of today's episode is Survival of the Greatest Vision. And what that means to a degree is that first they suggested survival of the fittest. But now when we really look at some of the fittest people, some of the most wealthiest and most able to survive people, we're seeing it's not about survival. The environment has changed. This is no longer just Darwin's world. It has become the contribution of 8 billion beings perceiving how they can choose to create themselves here every moment of their life. So in a sense, the survival of the greatest vision is how humanity saw beyond itself, is how you saw that survival was not just something you had to maintain. I mean, externality needs to be handled, but you're here for the greatness that a human form allows you to see in a sense of formless intelligence. It's very profound, but it's also very graceful. And of course, the experience of one man is an experience of one human being. So let us learn, not just from one human being, but from all human beings. For wisdom, I realize, has nothing to do at times with what you should have done or what you had to do. Wisdom is that vision of clarity that you had never stepped into that mistake, and so in an untouched manner your awareness was the experience, the knowing you had from the experience, which envisioned by clouds fades into the limitless sky. You know, I noticed that we live many moments, but we seem to also, at times, forget that it's the same moment. I think what man needs to really focus on is that when it is suggested survival of the greatest vision, we want to see what the most absolute experience of presence in this plane of existence is. And as the pilots of consciousness, remember the tilt on the pilot side. Freedom was never about why you were torn up. But how once all the pieces were found, the peace was always there. A visionary learns and works with all that he is aware of, and you need to study your senses. You need to go sit down and see how much you can hear around. You need to experience yourselves and learn from yourselves, not just in one state of being, not just saying I'm a physical being, by seeing how this physicality is implying much more greater experiential passage in this world of worlds. For many people play video games in the aim of trying to level up, I've seen, And so they are shown the spectrum that you can level up to this amount, but you need to go through the journey. And so many people are playing these video games. But if you begin to see for man, his level up will be the stars. So you would as a person walking in the park, just look around and see that the night has brought stars. And so in a sense, it is suggesting that Man's leveling up is this individual point of existential attention, observing the individuality so deeply, going into such self-inquiry and self-contemplation that immediately there's a gravitation towards a moment where your knowing is carrying you. What that means is that moment where you try to see what you don't know, you actually see, gosh, wow, I know a lot of stuff. Can I really not know stuff, you know? And suddenly when you see, what do I know? And you see, oh gosh, it seems like I don't know anything, you know? Man is not here to just laugh at himself in the mirror. He is here to guide reality beyond reality. And leveling up means this individual consciousness has to trust his world. You have to wake up and you gotta see, I'm a moment of experience, this is life, I'm alive, I trust, and you flow. And as you flow, you begin to see reality change. You become, creative flows open up to you to then guide you towards pathways where you can experience higher states of consciousness, not just outside of your body, but into any projection and modality of how you can see image. So what that means is the ability of the human being actually is never a human ability. It's just how consciousness has a relationship with image, which there is a transparency in that acknowledgement. That's how even you know consciousness is there. What that means is you are here because someone is aware, and this awareness is the profundity of how a candle, even though it knows that it will melt, is lit to light the world, to light up the cosmos in the manner of its inquiry. For by seeking the self, the survival leaves. It's like you're not, all right, it's like I'm not just an animal, man. It's like I want to just go survive all my life, you know? So what you do is that you begin to transcend, but you do not ignore. So you begin to look at the survival of the fittest, and you look at how fit people are, and you begin to see it's not fitting in because there's change, and we are individuals who are trying to find an afterlife. Before the life that you are given is taken away, you must absorb into the most absolute brilliance of how it is here. And you will see the greatest vision was the emptiness that allowed the creation to occur. What that means is when one walks with the natural world, they also stop using a lot of senses of time. Like they don't measure time. Even though you're aware of measurement and you can be an absolutely amazing engineer even, you're not constantly having a sense of measurement, and time and space are flowing. So life has that movie feeling because you are aware of its movement. Do you see? Eventually the being will break himself out of his limited senses of time and space, which first gave shape to memory. Because when you look at suffering, when you go through an experience of suffering, you hit a reality where you have to make a choice. All those beings who are suffering have to make a choice. That's it. They're just not putting the effort to see that there's a choice here. That you think you will be alive without being allowed a free will? Explore your free will. See the existential allowance you have to be possible in the way you choose, but also beyond that choice, also the many infinite worlds that will come out of the inspiration of how you live here. A wise man knows that wisdom is simply the absolute self-awareness to the moment, flowing as it always has. As the winds of change and evolution move between the structures that have developed to be man's society, man's culture, man's identity, man's face. Once the experiencer is found, you won't be worried about a trace. clarity is awareness to your natural life expression. Within a moment that has a potential of being a simultaneous acknowledgement of that which you don't know and you know at the same sense of locality, which then moves you to an ability to confront beyond location. And in a sense we do like to make stories. But we must have the ability to find truth and the origination of the awareness that receives truth. You are your own greatest guide for the sense of you, which is objective, the sense of you, which is objective. You shall see it is an aspect of your moment of awareness, and that the observance that is your whole moment of being is a presence beyond personality, because personality is an still observable phenomenon. The mystic is born in any being who allows to see beyond itself. But this allowance must come from the trust of that which is here now. So you do not ignore physical reality. You do not try to get rid of your individual consciousness and say, oh, the ego needs to die or the ego needs to be broken. But in a sense, you need to see that I'm a human being trying to communicate to you a state of being, and that is something where your experience must guide you. And based on that, I am not trying to tell you anything aside from creating a poetic mirror so you see that you are the one seeing. Nobody has deceived you. There is no suffering. You have taken the steps as you have always wanted, and now you're here. But now you have an awareness to an intelligence that is learning from life, is gaining its sense of eternity as a temporal form, in seeing that every moment is a moment of being empty before interpretation. It seems that eternity, or let me say it like this, it seems that the eternity that man can talk about too seeks the eternity that no man can talk about. What that means is, in emptiness, reality was untouched by manifestation. But there was an elegance to the design. The blessing of simultaneity has made man remember not just from his past, but also his future eyes. And it's a very interesting phenomenon, because many people are going to experience this, guys, just to make this known, that the sign of an advanced being is found, or an advanced communicator, is found in someone who is trusting life in the way that you see life as trusting them. You will know through the presence of this being. And these beings are very wonderful, because if ideology is built in a way where it's being based on a past sense, these beings are advanced enough to have already developed possibilities and projections of their future beforehand. And so it is not just a being who's communicating to his past. You're not just some reincarnation, you're also the communication of how your future is talking to your present. So imagine if we had two spectrums which were communicating in one moment. We would find propellers of how this plane of existence flies based on the intelligence of its greater design, which is the hand of he who turns on the machine. All travelers are blessed when they allow themselves to see. And this sometimes means allowing yourself to move beyond your idea, being a bit selfless, being a bit not nice to people, because that's still going based on a sense of self trying to be nice, but just being present and graceful. You're naturally expressing as you are, and when you're around others, that is your contribution. For when man develops this existential sensitivity to how thought is suggesting how words have become worlds, there never was any dice for God to play with. The survival of the greatest vision is a remembrance of existential reunion in your acknowledgement as a being before your solid human ideas, that you and everybody has solid human ideas, even the most people who say they're spiritual. The being is that which has granted you all the ability that can be, as you learn from the life within. Mr.Within shall be smiled. Much blessings and namaste.